So football's back. That's all I got to say. It's been a good week for me. Started last Sunday night. Fighting Grace softball team won, 19-4. Yeah, so our bats finally woke up. And then this week I did something I've never done before. It was a historical week for me. I shot a 79 playing golf. First time I've ever broken 80 in my life, and I actually had a witness. John Tesh was there, so he can, and he broke 90 the same day, so it was a big day. We played Lake Park, the easiest park in the area, but that doesn't matter. And then I had some fantasy football drafts, so it was good. I've been playing softball on another team on Thursday nights, the second night, and with one of my friends and then a number of people that I don't really know very well, and we had 2 games, and I know you don't care, but it's an important story. The first game we won, it was great, and in the second game we were down, we were coming back in the last inning, and I had been hitting good all night, and hitting the ball hard, and actually got a triple, which was a miracle in and of itself. And there were 2 people on, we were down a few runs, and there was one out, and I'm like, all right, I got a chance to get a hero, this is going to be great, and hit a ground ball at second base, and they turned a double play, and the game was over. Yeah, and it bothered me. It still bothers me. So I went home. I got home. It was a late game Thursday night. I got home about 11 o'clock, and I had trouble. So I took a shower, and then I just had trouble falling asleep because it was bothering me so much. And I was thinking to myself, it shouldn't bother me this much that I hit into a double play, but it does. And I said, why? Why do I care so much? And then I had the realization that everything I do, I care about. Everything I participate in, I care about. There's nothing that I do just to waste time. Everything I do, I care about. And I think most of us are that way. Most of us are that way. And I think it's because in life, we find meaning outside of ourselves. We find meaning outside of ourselves. And so it would be shallow for me to say that my only meaning in life is playing softball. Or my only meaning in life is playing golf. But it's important for me to have those places to go and relax and get away and just kind of put beside, writing a sermon or preparing a Bible study, and just have those places to go. But I think it's true that we all find meaning outside of ourselves. How many of you find meaning in your work? I know a number of you raise their hands. I know that I find my work is the most meaningful thing I could ever think of to do. I love my job. And I know that many of you do too. I know many of you have customers who you actually you provide a service to them and they need you. And so the relationship that you have is very important. Many of you teachers, we have a lot of teachers here who teach kids, who are teaching the next generation. I mean, very important, meaningful job, the relationship that you have with those kids. And I know a number of you are in the medical field, and you get to have patients, or you get to teach other people how to take care of patients, how to bring healing to people. Such meaningful jobs. And I know there's 120 people here, and we do 120 different things. But I know they're each meaningful in some way. How many of you find meaning in your friendships? Friends are so important. It's so important to have good, strong relationships. The reason I like fantasy football so much, I had 3 drafts so far, and I've got a 4th one tomorrow. Not addicted or anything. But they're all online, and you get online, and I'm in one league with, we call it the family league, but it's with friends that I've had my whole life. And so my friends who live in North Carolina and Michigan and all over the place, Ohio, Indiana, and so it's a chance to reconnect old friends. It's every year we set a date, we're going to get together online, and we're texting back and forth and making fun of each other, but it's a chance to reconnect friends that I've had for a really long time. And it's important to have good friends that you can call anytime. When you just need to talk, or when you just need to blow off some steam, or you just said, if something exciting happened in your life that you need to share with somebody, it's important to have friends, and it's important to be a good friend. But how many of you find meaning in being a mother or a father or a grandmother or a grandfather? I would think that that's probably a pretty important part of your life. I don't know what that's like, but I'm a child of a mother and a father, and I think we all have that in common. And I have to tell you a story about something stupid that I did. I know Jeff loves when I tell stories about what things I did when I was a stupid kid. I had been saving all winter long for a new video game. I think it was NHL 94 that had just come out. And it was probably the coolest video game of the time for Sega Genesis. Does anybody remember Sega Genesis? Yes. Yeah. And so I'd been saving all winter for it, and my dad said, I finally had enough money, and I couldn't drive at the time, so he said, Dad, will you take me to Toys R Us to get the video game? It's like a 30-minute drive. We lived kind of out in the country. And I said, yeah, sure. And so I was really excited, and so I went outside, and it was a snowy day in Michigan, and I was just real excited and playful, and my dad was getting ready, and so I started making snowballs, and I thought, well, as soon as he walks out, I'm going to start throwing snowballs at him. And, I didn't mean any harm by it, but he walked out, and I was hiding behind a tree, and I threw it, and I hit him in the face, right in between the glasses and the face. For those of you who are native Texans, the snowball, first of all, snow is this white stuff that falls from the ground. And it's cold and it's wet. But when you make it, if it's good packing snow, you can make it and you can throw it really hard. And so it's like getting hit by a tennis ball going like 40 miles an hour. Except when it hits, it splats like an ice cream cone when you drop it on the ground. And then your face is wet and cold and hurts. And that's what my dad's face was doing at that moment. And in that moment I saw, I'm not going to get a video game today. I obviously didn't mean, so he went right back inside, and I thought, oh, this is really bad. But he came out a few minutes later, and he took me to get my video game. And I learned that day that parents have this incredible ability to forgive quickly. I couldn't help but think if somebody had done that to me, there was no way I was going to get in a car with them and drive them to Toys R Us. Parents have this incredible ability to forgive quickly and to make sacrifices so that their children can have opportunities. My parents did that our whole life for my sisters and I. And so although I don't have children, I can imagine how meaningful it is for a parent to have children, being a child of a parent. And so we find meaning in our relationships. I think in our relationships at work, our relationship with our friends, our relationship with our family members, we find meaning. And I think Jesus understands that. Jesus knows that we were created that way, which is why we get this parable today, which isn't very theological. It's actually more practical. Jesus says if somebody's throwing a party and you're invited, Jesus is kind of coaching us through relationships with others. Don't go and sit at the place of honor, but go and sit at the lowest place so that you won't be embarrassed or you won't feel ashamed when someone comes to you and says, I'm sorry, but this place is for somebody more important. I think this is kind of a unique story in that we don't really throw parties very much anymore where there's like a guest of honor. A couple months ago I went to the wedding of Anna and Ryan Fenton. They're here today. Welcome. It's good to see you, a married couple. Sorry. And I couldn't have, one of the best weddings I've ever been to, they served bacon with sugar on it. That was awesome. Candied bacon. It was so good. But actually during the reception, I couldn't help but think of my wedding and how it was such a unique feeling because it was a party for just Michelle and I. we were the guests of honor, and everybody wanted to see us, and everyone wanted to shake our hand or give us a hug and say, congratulations, we're so happy for you. And the whole time I was thinking, wow, this is so cool, and it's going so fast. And these rental shoes are so uncomfortable. It was so bad. That's all I remember about that night. But how we okay, moving on. We don't have those moments very often. It's not like you walk or you go to a barbecue at somebody's house and they say, "Oh, the guest of honor is here. Come and sit in this chair, and you get the biggest burger." Most of the parties we go to, it's just everyone's there hanging out, and there's really nobody higher or more important than somebody else. But I think there's an important lesson here. And the lesson is that in life, there are so many times where we are told that we are worth less. Not worthless, worth less. We are less important. We are less valuable. Someone else gets a promotion. Somebody else gets to stay with the company, and we lose our job. A relationship ends. I couldn't help but think of a story from 6 years ago when I was working as a youth director. I guess it's been a little bit longer than that. At a church just outside of Detroit. And I know it was a hard time for Detroit then, and Detroit's still going through a hard time. And I know a lot of people make fun of Detroit because they bankrupt. And for me, I would say there's a difference between the city and the government, and I'm proud of my city. And I will be proud of my city until the day I die. Not so proud of the government. That's a different story. But at the time, it was a really hard time in the city, and people were losing their jobs. And what we found at the church was that people had lost their jobs, and they were feeling worth less because they couldn't give on Sunday morning. And so they stopped coming. They hadn't moved away. They felt ashamed to come to church and not be able to give. And the pastor that I was working for, my pastor, my whole life said, I just wish that I had the opportunity to say to all these people that even if you can't give, please still come. Please still come. We all go through moments in our life where we feel worth less. Maybe someone has ended a relationship with us. Maybe we've lost something that was meaningful. I think it usually happens in those moments where something that we give meaning to is taken away from us. Maybe you're not going through that now. Maybe you are. Maybe you know somebody who is. In those moments, we just need somebody to come to us and say, hey, friend, why are you sitting down here? You're worth more. You're more valuable. Come, sit here in this seat. Come, sit at this better table. We all need friends. That's what Hebrews is talking about. Be hospitable to strangers. Be a good friend. Let people know that they're cared about. Because how many of you have found meaning in your relationship with Jesus Christ? We all need to be reminded that Jesus died for us all. And that Jesus loves us all. And that Jesus is quick to forgive. And that Jesus has made the ultimate sacrifice for you. And Jesus thinks you're worthy just the way you are, whether you're on top of the world or whether you're on the bottom of the pit. And it's that relationship with Jesus that is the most meaningful thing you will ever have in your life. Amen.